back. Thanks for checking in, everybody. Today we're going to talk about a couple of vintage science fiction books from my collection. And in the near future, we'll be doing some more recent science fiction. I haven't done, I don't feel, enough science fiction on this channel, so I thought I would get back and look at some. And we have some good stuff to look at today. First up is Babel 17 by Samuel R. Delany, who, as of this filming, is still with us. He is, I think he's in his 80s. I think he was born in 42. This is a Nebula Award-winning book. This is the Ace, is that right? Yeah, this is the Ace paperback that I've had forever and a day, and it's a good book. It's a classic science fiction novel. It's not my favorite classic science fiction novel, but it's a good book. Good enough that I would certainly recommend it. It is, it has an interesting theme to it. So the theme on this is, how does language influence our perceptions and our actions? That is a hypothesis that's called Sapir-Whorf. I probably mispronounced it. Sapir-Whorf, where languages are where language determines our cultural perceptions. It's linguistic relativity, folks. So this book, Babel 17, which is the language used as a weapon in the book, is the theme and heart of this adventure. It is about Starship Captain Ryda Wong. That sounds funny, but that's the name. R-Y-D-R-A and Wong, W-O-N-G, who studies the language and discovers that it alters the mind. So it's a space opera, but it's heavy. This book is very well written and very well done, but it doesn't have any of the traditional action type scenes that you find in space opera. It is more of a intellectual suspense novel, and I think that's a fair assumption. It's hardcore science fiction with a good dose of reality in it, because there are people that subscribe to this belief system that language systems throughout the world do have an effect on our perceptions and determine some of our behaviors, because our perceptions determine some of those behavior systems that we demonstrate as humans. I think that's all absolutely reasonable, and there's no question about it. But this takes it to a different level, because they're being attacked by people that are using the language specifically as a weapon. So that's what you get with this. It's a bit of a mind-twisting tale. Really nothing overly remarkable for me. When I went back and reread it, I thought, okay, I remember this now. It is a good book. I do consider it a classic. I think there are better science fiction novels than this out there. But for the period, this is, mid-1960s, this is a good book. And it holds up. It holds up intellectually. It holds up very well. So if you get a chance to pick up Samuel R. Delany's Babel 17, by golly, you go ahead and do that. It's good. It's not bad. I enjoyed it, or I wouldn't be recommending it. Then I picked two completely different books, because the plots are so different than what I'm accustomed to talking about here. So the next one I chose was Richard Cowper's Time Out of Mind, which has a kind of a groovy 70s feel to it on the cover. What was the date of this? Did I write it down here? Let's take a look here. 73. So yeah, it's the swinging 70s. And this is my original. So the author, Richard Cowper was a pen name for John Middleton Murray. He was born in 1926. He died in 2002. It's a time travel type thing. So as a young man, Laurie Linton encountered a ghostly figure who urged him to kill somebody named Magobian. So fast forward, Linton is a U.S. narcotics security officer working with Carol Kennedy, investigating drugs and so forth. And clues to the drug runners point to a secret ministry of security run by none other than Colonel Piers Magobian, and that's the heart and soul of it. This is really a suspense, thriller, detective style, set in the future, sci-fi adventure. It's very good. I like it. It's good enough, okay? I think that it's a fun book. I was surprised. Past and future collide in the test tube of a madman. So there's a little more to the plot than I've indicated here. Time travel does play a role in the plot, but it's I don't know. It's a suspense thriller, secret agents in the future type thing, security agents in the future. The balance of power, politics. Typical, but what distinguishes this book for me was the fact that it's well written, and I enjoyed it. So I've now read it twice. Would I ever read it a third time? Probably not. Twice was enough for me, but it's a good book. It's on the it's all over the place if you're looking for it. I've seen this in half-price books numerous times. So there you have two distinctly different vintage. Now it's funny, I'm saying vintage. 60s and 70s is now vintage. For me, that's a little odd to accept, but it's the truth. All right. So finally, my favorite of the three, which is The Long Afternoon of Earth by Brian Aldiss, who is usually referred to as Brian W. Aldiss. He was born in 1925 and he died in 2017. I will be returning to Brian W. Aldiss in the future because I have a couple of his other books that I've kept that I really am looking forward to rereading and talking about in the near future, I believe before Christmas. So we'll see. So this was published in England under the title Hot House. And in 1962, it's 5 short stories from the magazines, and it was put together to make a novel. So he rewrote it. And the premise is superb. This is really remains a very popular book, and when I reread it recently, I reread this before I did the other two, so this kind of took away the allure of the other two because this is so much better. Future Earth, way in the future, okay? The Earth no longer rotates, so plant life grows wildly, and the Earth ecosystem is out of control. It's like a tropical forest. There's a small group of people that are trying to survive. A giant banyan tree has grown that covers the day side of the Earth. So it's very hot, but the banyan tree gives them shelter, but the life of the plants and the trees and the shrubbery and everything becomes quite dangerous for them to survive. And there's a lot of human mutations involved here. Lily Yo is the primary one. In her tribe, they're constantly trying to survive. The plant life is dangerous. The world building in here by the author, Brian Aldiss, is absolutely superb in every possible way. You feel the heat. You feel the danger from the plants. You can see the mutations happening with the people. There's splinter groups involved trying to survive, trying to determine what they can do next. Some of them may leave Earth, and some of them may decide to stay. It's clear that Earth is doomed. And there's a bit of a twist at the end regarding that. I really don't want to talk about it too much because this is, of all the three, this is the one you should read. I enjoyed it so much. The sun is also dying. So Earth is dying with it. And in the meantime, you have this group of people, these tribes under the banyan tree that are trying to survive and being infected with fungus. The one character, Gant, is infected with a fungus. And so there's a metamorphosis involved with some of these people. Really well done. A lot of people read this book in the 70s. When was it originally published? I think it was originally published, 61, and first published in installments in the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction. So that makes perfect sense to me. Still revered either under the title Hot House or The Long Afternoon of Earth. This is the pick of the day, really. Of the three, this is the one I really enjoyed. A keeper all the way. good book for people to read who don't normally read science fiction. I think he would get wrapped up in the story and the world building and the way the plot unfolds. Fine, fine piece of writing by the late great Brian Aldiss, whom I will return to as soon as I possibly can, because I have quite a few other books of his. I really like him. So there's my 3 science fiction picks. Vintage. I'm sorry, saying that something from the 60s and 70s is vintage is something I'm trying to wrap my mind around. I'm working on it, guys, okay? I know you're thinking, you old fart, get over it and move on. We'll see. All right, maybe I just don't like saying stuff from the 60s and 70s is vintage. But I get it. It is. All right. So there you have 3 interesting books that I hope that if you see them on the aftermarket, you pick them up and read them, especially Brian Aldiss, The Long Afternoon of Earth. Until next time, my friends, please stay well, stay happy, feed your brains, read a book.